everybody, and Happy New Year to you all. And if you're watching this video 6 months down the line or something, a year down the line, then Happy New Year to you all, I guess. But yes, I'm back for my first video of the new year. Been out of the country for a week, 10 days, something like that. So I haven't done any videos about Oxford United in 2023. And yeah, not been the best of starts to the year, has it? Let's just say that. We ended last year with a nice 3-1 win over Charlton. Was it 3-1? It was 3-1 win over Charlton. And so far in 2023, we played 2, lost 2, and yeah, we've had a little bit of shenanigans off the field as well. And we're going to get into all of it. And as you can see, I'm not on my own. I have roped in expert, professional, otherwise known as my brother, Robert. Robert, as we always do, say hello to the good folk.
Hi, good folks.
And if you don't believe that we are professionals, then here is a picture of us winning the FA Cup. So what more could you possibly want in that regard? So, yeah, rather than usually starting in like kind of order in terms of going through the Exeter game and Arsenal game, I think the best place to start is with this breaking news that has come out over the last couple of days following the Arsenal game. And that is basically talking about what a Burke we think Ciaron Brown has been getting involved in. I know he hasn't been, he's not guilty yet. It's only been an investigation that's been opened by the FA, but it looks like he might be involved in some spot fixing with getting a yellow card against Arsenal. And yeah, it's not looking good, is it, Robert?
Well, let's give some of the background to this. It's like during the Arsenal match, it's alleged that there was that Ciaron Brown, if he got booked, it was 8-1, I believe, with the odds, and a lot of Arsenal fans backed it. And because of that, there's been that sort of raised some red flags, and now it's being investigated by the FA. Oxford have released a statement saying that they are going to support the investigation, and at the moment they aren't going to make any comments. And obviously we haven't heard anything from Ciaron Brown about this. We were sort of notified because our brother Andy was on like one of our WhatsApp feeds, and we were just talking about watching the game, and he started sharing all these links about look at Ciaron Brown. It looks like odds on for Ciaron Brown to get booked tonight, and showing all these that he's 8-1. And then when he did get booked later on in the second half, they sort of showed some footage of people who won about 1,600 quid on the game. Now, from my point of view, it seems it's very incredibly suspicious. Ciaron Brown, I mean, I don't know how many bookings he's got in the course. He's a defender, and I suppose you could say a central left back up against an exciting young winger, he could possibly get a booking. But then no more so than Anderson, no more so than Moore, Long. Why were they not targeted? Why would it be Ciaron Brown just in particular? So this is the odd thing. Now, whether it was just done without Ciaron Brown being involved, we don't know. We can't speculate on those sorts of things. But you just think it just seems incredibly suspicious. And as regards to a footballer, would he be stupid enough to do something like this? Of course he is. He's a footballer. They do bloody stupid things. We know that. But
that's the thing I find really hard to believe that he would do this and think he's going to get away with it. Like, this isn't just like doing it in a game against like Exeter or Fleetwood away. This was a very high profile match to do this. To be involved, if he is involved, again, it's only suspicion and speculation and rumor and innuendo at this stage. But it's like, it's just really, I just can't believe that he would think he would get away with it if he is involved in it.
Again, that's my point. That's my view as well. Thinking if you've done this, you're an absolute fucking idiot if you think you're going to get away with that. But then again, people are fucking idiots, and they do think they can get away with shit. So it's just,
and it's the thing is as well. I mean, and again, it's not uncommon that I've seen people send out tweets from a betting point of view of saying, put money on this guy to get booked, and usually it's from a point of view of looking at stats and statistics and saying that like this guy regularly gets booked, so putting money on him's a pretty smart bet to make. And that's where I thought Andy, our brother's messages had come from. It wasn't until the next day where I saw those quite damning messages from saying, like, my mate plays for Oxford United, he's going to get booked tonight, put money on it, it's 8-1, which really just starts to really just not make it look good at all. And I hope if Ciaron Brown is involved in it, I mean, what Oxford United can't do any more than just play ball at this stage and look into it and investigate it themselves. I think if Ciaron Brown is involved in it, I do hope he just admits it. I hope he doesn't drag it out, and then it becomes that he's involved in it later, or after he's first come out and said, no, I wasn't anything to do with it. I hope he just admits it and comes clean, and then hopefully it'll be a more lenient sentence or ban or whatever comes his way.
Could that lead to criminal proceedings? Because
I don't know.
Think of the cricketers a few years back whose name slipped my mind, the ones that got caught by the News of the World for bowling no balls. What's the actual difference between what they did and what Ciaron Brown did?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think that I think that it's going to be a difficult one, isn't it? Because if he does deny it, it's difficult to prove.
Yeah.
Without doubt that he's done it, because he's fouled. His foul is on Saka, and again, you've described him as exciting young winger. He's one of the best wingers in the world, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
And whatever stage he's fouled him, yeah, he could make the argument of saying, I was worried he was going to turn me and start a counter-attack, so I had to stop the attack. You see players taking those sort of tactical bookings in every single game that's played. So he can always make that argument that this is all just speculation. If there is any phone calls or text messages that link him to this, then that's where he becomes guilty. But it'd be interesting to see what sort of, where the FA, if they can't find concrete proof, what can they charge him with, and what suspensions can they give him, or fines can they give him? Because if they do try and suspend him or fine him, surely he could then take it to like court of arbitration to try and get it overturned. And
I think we're just going to file this under wait and see, to be honest with you, see what actually comes out about it. I mean, if he has done it, I would be quite happy to drop him. And because I think simply on the basis that this was a match where I wanted the Oxford United players fully focused, which I think they were, not thinking I can make a little side hustle here.
I kind of, part of me wishes that a lot of these players had got these side hustles though, so it might give me a bit more leniency of thinking why they've been so crap this season.
Might explain it. Oh, that's why you've missed those challenges. Got it. But
some players like Matt Taylor could have made a bloody killing of like saying, I'm going to have no shots on target and score no goals.
If you put in money on Matt Taylor to get booked, he probably would have been about 3-1. Bearing in mind he was basically having the Arsenal defence in headlocks at some point. But there you go.
That's pretty par for the course. I think filing it under wait and see is probably all you can do at this stage. I mean, I'm really interested to know other fans' comments on this and your views. They'll range from the really to the point where people won't want him to play for the club again. Some will go down the line of, well, he's not innocent till proven guilty and blah blah blah. He's been one of our best players as well, which is a bit of a shame. But I think we'll have to just look onto things on the pitch now, and 2 games this season, 2 defeats, 1 not surprising in the defeat to Arsenal, which we'll get to in a little bit. But let's start with that New Year's Day 1-0 defeat to Exeter, which you went to. I watched it on my phone while I was visiting with my in-laws, which I haven't seen for in person for about 8 years, but screw that. I'm watching Oxford on my phone. You can all talk in another language in another room. But yeah, it didn't work out too well because we lost this game 1-0. Very, very similar Oxford United performance to what we've seen with a lot of games this season and under Carl Robinson's tenure. And I know you're not very happy about it, Robert, so I'll let you vent first on this 1-0 defeat.
If I may just make a statement before I get started.
You can.
Thank you. Right.
I assume something. I assume someone just stood on your foot then.
Yeah. Oh. It just ran over me. But oh god, that was a crappy match. It was just. It started off well. Tyler Goodrum, right from kick-off, he made a great little run, and he sort of cut in, and he got fouled just outside the penalty area, and then thinking, oh, it's a good start. And then the free kick was wasted. It hit one of the opposition, and therein, it hit one of the opposition.
Wait, didn't we hit the bar though from a free kick early?
I might be thinking of a different one. Yes, yeah, you might be right. Actually, I think I was
Yeah.
bad example, but it didn't come. We hit the bar, and then it just. I remember the free kick not coming to anything though, from but being particularly wasted. It's been
You
a
might
few
be right,
weeks
Robert.
since the game.
You might well be right. But I definitely know we did hit Brannigan hit the bar from a
Yeah.
free kick, but that was probably the only good delivery all day, because free kicks, corners were particularly terrible, and crosses were particularly terrible in this game.
That was just
But
the point I was trying to make, in the sense
yeah,
that every shot we did try to do something good, nothing came from it. Anderson made a great little run, got in, he sort of dropped his shoulder, he ran in, and then ball pitted out to nothing. Wildschut, who I didn't think had a great game, had he sort of the one time he got a good shot, and he actually got in. He put the one good ball in I actually remember seeing, and Goodrum forced a save from the goalkeeper. And that was about it. And I think in the second half, as I think in the first half, Matt Taylor hit the post. I
yeah,
think another cross came in from the other side, and he hit the post. But at half time, we'd sort of dominated the first half to a degree, but we were still not looking like we were going to score. And then as the second half went on, it just got worse and worse. Exeter grew in confidence. They missed a really good chance about 5-10 minutes before they scored, that where they broke in, and there was a very, I think it was Moore who tackled back and got
yeah,
got shot off the line.
yeah,
But we were starting to look vulnerable, and eventually they scored. When they scored from our corner, suddenly it was 3-on-1 effectively breaking through. McGinty made a decent save, and then they tucked in the rebound,
yeah.
and then nothing. You know, in that second half, I was just trying to think of the chances that we had, and I can only recall Brannigan from the edgy area having a sort of snatch shot, which the keeper turned away for corner.
Yeah.
Nothing exceptional, decent shot, could have gone somewhere, but that was it. Nothing. All our corners were dreadful. Our crossing was dreadful. We just looked so lackluster. And this wasn't a great side we were playing against. We were against a side who was about middle in the league, who were looking to try and nick something on the break, who were quite happy to go in there and get the draw and nick something if they can, which is what they did. And all credit to them for doing so. But we were just so bad. And we look so bad going forward that we don't create anything. We don't, whenever we might suddenly drop a shoulder and get a cross in, but the cross is crap. The cross doesn't do anything, and it's just so frustrating from watching a side that's been quite exciting and a joy to watch over the last 2 or 3 years, to watching a side that's frankly shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking back on that game, it was incredibly frustrating, and at the end of it, I really felt like that is almost like the final. It's so definitive to say final nail in the coffin, but for me, that really put a lot of clarity in my mind to say I don't think Oxford are going to do anything this season. I'm always been optimistic to think we can make a charge for the playoffs, but that game really just made me think we're just nowhere near consistent enough to string results together, because I thought in the first half Oxford actually looked pretty good, and I thought that we were going to score. I thought there were numerous times where I thought we're going to score in a minute, and I do actually think Oxford played with there was a nice intensity about the way Oxford played. The pressing was good, the football was good, end product was really poor. What you said though, but I still think Exeter looked quite dangerous. The few times they did go
Yeah, they
forward,
did
they
actually.
cut us open quite easily, going forward, and could have scored themselves in the first half. But generally, I thought to play quite well. What annoyed me is in the second half, we didn't pick up where we left off in the first half. First half, we generally tried to pass the ball on the ground, knock it out wide, get balls in the box. But second half, we became almost erratic very quickly. It became very much like we've got to score, we've got to score, we've got to score. There was no patience, there was no composure, and you felt like an Exeter counter attack was going to happen, and obviously it did, and they scored. But then when we went 1-0 down, it became even more erratic. And we've seen this so many times from Oxford, where we just, instead of just trying to play football and do what we're supposedly good at, we start lumping it. We start smashing it 30-yard balls. Everyone's trying to hit a long, massive, raking ball up front. Well, we don't need to do that. We maybe need to do that for the last 5 minutes of the game, but we're doing it from like 15 minutes out, 10 minutes out, 20 minutes out. And it's like, just relax, play football, try and get Josh Murphy into the game, try and get Bowden into the game, try and play the ball into O'Donker's feet and let him. But no, it's just it's so erratic, and we've seen it time and time again this season. I can point to numerous games where that happens, where we just lose our way and we end up just looking too erratic to try and score a goal, and it frustrates me all the time.
We don't have any cutting edge to our game. I mean, if we'd gone 1-0 up at half time, we would have probably maybe gone on to win maybe 2-3-0, because Exeter might have sort of come out there and we would have got a bit more space, and we would sort of we would have gone on to win that. But we can't score the goal. I mean, let's have a look at go back a bit. Let's have a look at the result against Charlton. What we had in that game was luck. First goal, really good football. Ball came in from Josh Murphy. Great finish by Billy Bowden. Great. Second goal, hits Matt Taylor's arse and goes in. Then they come in and then they come back into the game and they score, and then they come bloody close to getting an equaliser. And then right at the end, Wilshire fires in a shot which the keeper should save, and he lets spill on the line, and Gatlin O'Donker basically stabs it home. And that's not a criticism of either of them. That's still, we got to score goals on this, but that was fortunate. So we get 2 lucky goals out of 3 in that game. And then what we haven't had in the last 2 games, we haven't had that luck. The ball, if the crosses come in, the cross hits a defender or bounces free or just butts forward, or Goodring's header is well saved by the goalkeeper. It's just we just look toothless effectively, and we're going to need to score at least 2 goals in the game, because we are seemingly incapable of keeping clean sheets.
Yeah, it's absolutely. That's been. I mean, these problems have just been problems for under Carl Robinson's tenure, really, haven't they? It's things that just never ever seem to be addressed. And you can go back to last season, but last season was probably a bit of an anomaly. But 2 seasons before, a season before, where we seem to have to work bloody hard to score goals, and then we're fucking generous in defence and give them away. And the opposition just generally seems to be more clinical than we do, and we end up drawing a game or losing a game where we've dominated it for the lion's share, and it never seems to be addressed. And now you're left with so many questions about what's the team going to be, what's the strongest team, what's the best formation, which seems like we've been having these conversations since the very first game of the season.
If you look at the individual players in the side, Moore, Finlay, Long, I don't think they're any of them bad. Ciaron Brown's been having a decent season. Anderson, not the greatest defender, but looks quite good going forward.
Exciting, isn't he? He's exciting player, Anderson.
And against Exeter, I thought McGuane, Bates, and Brannigan looked very good in midfield. So the components of the team are playing quite well. It's just we're not doing anything. Up front, we are wasted. Taylor, I will get to Taylor when we come to Arsenal, but he's not the player he was. He's starting to go off the boil, but
yeah, I mean, he looks a yard short, doesn't he? Now, and he's not scoring goals. He's not really. His play isn't really helping the team that much, and he just looks like he looks like he's a bit shot of confidence and doesn't really know how to get it back, and it is a worry. But let's move on to this Arsenal game. And the Arsenal game, I know you weren't. A lot of people, these games are like a free hit, aren't they? In many ways, they're a bit of a pass. I mean, we're playing. If you look at league tables, we're playing the best side in the country, and so it's a hiding to nothing. It was a full house on TV, nice occasion. Oxford, I thought, put in a spirited performance, ended up losing 3-0, which probably isn't really a surprise. A lot of people would have expected Arsenal to come through that test against us. And by and large, I think that no Arsenal fan's going to really remember that game at the end of the season. A couple of nice goals from Nketiah. But I think Oxford did at least put up a decent fight in the game.
They put up a fight, but what annoyed me was the fact, we go back again, we never looked like making a game out of it. If you think back to some of the good cup ties we've had recently, last few years, beating West Ham 4-0, Newcastle getting those two late goals to sort of make it equal. But even though we go on to lose, that's still a hell of an occasion. Man City, the couple of seasons back, a 3-1 defeat. But my God, we played well. We equalised with Matty Taylor. We looked a genuine and sort of like we put up some good performances. And then tonight we were, the other night we were plucky. We were the plucky underdogs.
Yeah.
We sort of like, and maybe it was the fact is I was watching it on TV and I was hearing more of maybe the commentating than you were, because I think you were watching.
Oh no, I watched it on ITV.
Yeah. But I was just saying, it was just like I was getting annoyed at the patronising nature of the commentary. Literally every time Oxford did something well, they'd sort of like, we'd win a tackle or something like that. You get that tit math face screaming, "We're in a cup tie now!" It's like, we're fucking not. We've won a tackle.
Yeah,
Stop trying to make it seem like it's a closer match than it is.
maybe we were more aware of it because it's Oxford and not another side. When it's another side, those things kind of go by the wayside a little bit. And we know these players can pass the ball around and are decent in possession and not bad footballers, so it's no surprise to us. Whereas the stereotype of lower league players is still lump it and all that stuff. So it is always going to be a little bit patronising like that, isn't it? I'm afraid. I It's kind of what you would have expected Oxford to be like, though, wasn't it? Where Arsenal didn't come out and set the world alight in the first half, and they allowed Oxford to kind of settle into the game. There wasn't an early goal, so you expected Oxford to kind of put themselves about a bit, press, win the ball back. But yeah, we never looked like Scott. I think there was a couple of times where we got the ball around their area, but there was a reluctance to shoot, and we overplayed it, and we lost possession, and really, and then you just started to get a little bit of hope that we might be able to like get a 0-0 or keep the game, take the game deep, and maybe nick something. But then Arsenal, well, as soon as they got the first goal, it was pretty much game over.
The only chance that we had, it looked a decent chance, was Matt Taylor, which came to nothing when he had the running on goal. Where a couple of seasons ago, I think Taylor would have scored that. I think he would have controlled it better. He would have been quicker. He would have got in and he would have fired a shot. And could have hit the post, gone in. But I'm convinced that he would have gone in and scored. And then that's 1-0. Oxford are winning. Still don't think we'll win the game because we are playing against a very good side. But the crowd would be up. Everyone would be pumped. It would be exciting. As opposed to, Matt Taylor didn't quite get near the ball. Then nothing happens. Nothing happens. Arsenal score. And I think the only shot I seem to remember Oxford having near the end was some weird loopy effort from Brannigan that sort of.
There was a weird loopy effort, and there was an absolute speculative effort that was never ever going to go in a million years, and Brannigan just swung a leg at it and it went miles high and wide. It was like a really bad one. But again, this was it reminded me of when we first played Man City, that not the season where you talk about the Taylor goal. It reminded me of the year before where we ran around a bit, but we were chasing shadows, and it was very much like ruffling a child's hair. Like, good effort, Oxford, and it kind of was a distraction away from a pretty dire league campaign, which this one felt like as well. And and it just like it was kind of didn't really show. I don't think it really showcased Oxford United as a club, other than really maybe getting some national exposure towards the fact that we need a new stadium more than anything else. I love the way Carl Robinson came out and said, "Oh, people are going to be sick of hearing my voice. I've had to do like 50 interviews." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure you hated doing that."
Yeah. Oh no! Attention on little old me. Oh no!
But I mean, look. So we've had 2 losses. One was expected. One was another miserable one. What we've talked about. But where do you feel like this leaves us now? I mean, we've still got a transfer window open. We've bought in one player in Brendan Fraser, is it? The guy who was in The Mummy?
Yeah, that's a chap.
Okay. I should really know his name. Give me one moment.
Oh, the magic of editing. In about 30 seconds, Ian's going to seem like a football god.
Brandon Fleming.
My God, Ian, how did you get that?
Yeah, well, he's coming on loan, and we'll see what Oxford can do with him. And he's a left-sided player. They say he's more of a wing-back, which makes me think that Robinson's going to try and go back to wing-backs.
Yeah.
There's talk that Baldock is actually in training. Whether we'll see him again, maybe we'll see him for his customary 7 or 8 games in February, like we did last season, February and March.
The one that's got me, and this is farthest under Carl Robinson speaking shite again, but after Josh Murphy had a good half against Charlton,
Yeah,
he comes on there and he calls him the best player in League One. And since then, what has the best league player in League One done? The square root of fuck all. You know, he's done like he did nothing on coming off the bench against Exeter, and even even against Arsenal, he was up against Arsenal's reserve side here at the moment. Could he even get a cross in? Could he even beat a man? Could he fire in a shot? Could he do anything? No, he's done nothing. And I'm trying not to hold this against Josh Murphy. I'm really not. But when you got him, you got Robinson coming out saying, "Oh, he's the best player in this league," it's like, why do you say crap like that, Carl? Why can't you just say, "Oh, look, you can see the glimpses of what Josh Murphy does here. You know, if we can get him a bit fitter, hopefully we can see a bit more of him." That'll be fine. The best player. He's done nothing since you said that, which I'm sure has nothing to do with it. But it just adds to things of frustration of why Carl Robinson annoys the crap out of me at times.
that's the thing as well. It's like you might not. I mean, it took a while for like Anderson to suddenly become a decent player. Like he was with us a while, and we were all wondering like why we bring him in. Then all of a sudden he kind of found his feet a bit and got going. I don't think it really helps with Robinson. Sort of like as you've said, he's pinned his hat on these two in Murphy and
Yeah.
Wiltshire all year, all season. He's pinned his hat on. Wait till they're back. Wait till they're back. Wait till they're back. And especially with Yannick, I think it's going to be. He's come back from a very difficult injury, like a really, really like ripped his hamstring off the bone injury. Like that's gonna take him a while to come up to speed in a new league, like everything as well. And I know, and to then put that pressure on him to say, wait till he's back, wait till he's back. I think like it might not see the best of Yannick for like another month or so until he gets fully fit.
Against Exeter, he just looked so slow and ponderous. There were moments when suddenly it clicked, and like there's a couple of good, bits of skill he did, and he put in one of our only good crosses of the half. But so many times he'd pick up the ball and you think, right, run. And like he would slowly amble his way forward. And you're just thinking, is this obviously he's not fully fit there? I get that. But again, he did nothing against Arsenal as well. He came on, he sort of like he looked.
No, there's a couple of. I mean, I think you're being a little harsh on him. I think he's been.
Maybe.
I think he's not been too bad. I mean, like I think we're expecting him to kind of like get the ball and be a difference maker. I think he. I don't think he looked that bad against Exeter, and I thought at least I liked his intent. Like at least he was trying to get the ball and run at people and take them on. And I think maybe he was guilty of trying to do too much. I can't work out why we're in this position of where we are. We're in a really poor position in League One. We don't look like we're going to do much more than just flounder around the mid-table position unless we can bring in some real quality in the window, other than our man Brandon Fleming, of course. I don't really see Oxford doing much. Do you?
I don't see him doing anything. I mean, if we go to 5-3-2, like we're going to be saying that, let's say we are. All right. Let's hope. So Eastwood, Anderson, Brendan Fraser, Moore, Finley, and
Roger Moore.
as like centre halves. And then in the midfield, you're going to be having a combination of
Who do you play as centre backs then? Because I was making a poor Roger Moore joke then. Go on, say your centre backs again.
Moore, Finley, and Long.
So Brown, no Brown.
I think at the moment there might be an element of you don't play
I
Brown.
knew it. I knew you would condemn him. He's not. He's innocent till he's proven guilty.
I think we can rest him for the time being. And then
Look,
in the
look,
midfield,
just because when he was doing his interview, someone turned up with a big bag of cash. He was like, "Oh, good, my laundry's done."
midfield. Well, again, Brannigan, McGuane, and Bates, you'd probably say would be your midfield three. I mean, I can't see that changing, to be honest with you. I mean, and then up front, who do you play? I mean, you play Taylor plus Murphy.
I don't think you
Wiltshire.
do. I don't know. I mean, if you're playing two up top, you kind of. I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because
Carl
it's
Joseph is back soon, potentially.
yeah. I think it's going to be really hard to find the balance if we are playing wing backs of who plays up front. I'm really not convinced with it. I like that midfield, but I do think it's too lightweight. And I think Bates great. I think he's really finding his feet. Um, McGuane's has had a good season. He's doing well. I don't know. It's just something about if you're playing wing backs, where do you fit Murphy in? Where do you fit Yannick in? Where do you fit Bowden in?
Where
Where
do
do
you
you
fit
like?
Brown in? Suddenly
Where,
we've got about 5 wingers we
yeah.
can't use.
And then you've got to Kyle Joseph's coming back. I think it's got to the point now until Kyle Joseph is fit. I think he's got to start Odonka over
Yeah,
Taylor because
I think so.
you see when Gatlin Odonka comes on, he's lively, gets about, he's physical, he puts people under pressure, and he's more of a target up top than Taylor is. And
I think you've got to play him. You've got to give him his head now.
yeah,
He's come in. He's had some good cameos as a sub. He's looked promising. He's not the finished article, but you're thinking you might as well play him because at the moment Taylor's offering you nothing. And I
nothing.
feel really bad about saying this because Matty Taylor has been a fantastic player for Oxford, but you can't help the fact that he doesn't look like he's fully fit. He looks like he's a bit more leggy than he used to be. And you got questioning after all this, what has he brought to our season so far? He's not really contributed very much. And I don't think he can have any complaints if he's basically sat on the bench.
I don't think he can play. I don't think he's good enough to play up front on his own. I think he has to play up front with someone.
Yeah.
If you play him up front with someone, at least you've got that option then of like him being maybe someone will leave him loose in a box and he can like tuck away a finish and stuff
I
like that.
suppose if Brannigan's taking, if O'Donker's the physical presence and he's taking things off there, it takes something off Matt Taylor's shoulder. Maybe, and also if you're in the box, if they're splitting their focus, he might be able to take advantage of that as well. And he's a sort of player where suddenly if he did get a couple of goals, he might go on a little run. But I don't know. But then again, if you're doing that.
It's just so weird. Like I just don't know where all these players fit in to a lineup of like
Suddenly we feel very unbalanced. That our bench is basically going to be. All right, let's just say, for example, the team was as discussed, and you have O'Donker and Taylor up front. On the bench, you're going to have Murphy, Wiltshire, Bowden, potentially Marcus Brown,
crikey,
and
right, yeah.
and
And
McGinty
that's
on
the
the
thing.
bench.
But then you look at these
And the defense.
players, and then you look at these players that we've got in the team, and yes, people are Taylor's the one who's not doing great, and so he's easy to say drop Taylor. But like Bowden's played all right recently. Murphy's played all right, against Exeter. Nobody really wants Bate dropped. Nobody really wants Brannigan dropped, apart from you. Nobody really wants McGuane dropped. Nobody really before the allegations and before he was a gun for hire. Nobody wanted Brown dropped. Long's been doing all right as centre back. Moore's been pretty solid. It's really hard to fit these.
Suddenly,
God, what a bloody mess!
it is. You suddenly feel, what are we going to do with this side then? So all of a sudden, it's like you could quite easily make a decent 5-3-2, and then suddenly you're left with a completely unbalanced bench. And then if you do bring these players on, you've got to completely rejig the team to get them in.
And then I can't help but thinking we need more strength in midfield. So then that takes out one of Brannigan, McGuane, or Bate. And I can't help but think that are they gonna bring in another striker with Joseph on the fringes, with maybe Baldock coming back?
But who? I mean, I keep seeing these people, these inane comments online. People say, we need to bring in a striker. Oh, a striker, good. I mean, a 20-goal season, man. There's loads of them kicking
Yeah,
about the place that
I know.
clubs decide they don't want anymore.
I know. That's it. Why don't we just go and snap them all up? Again, you look at all these things and you look at this squad or this potential team you could play in any number of formations. You could pick a decent Oxford United 11. So it has to come back to Robinson, doesn't it?
I'd say so. It's just at the moment, it just feels everything feels a bit flat and lackluster. I mean, and that game at Exeter really did knock my mood. I
Yeah.
wasn't overly impressed with the Charlton game, but I was willing to sort of. It was a win, and we had a bit of luck, but okay, fair enough. And then Exeter
I
was a
thought
real
again,
kick in the
Charlton game. Sorry to interrupt you. I thought the Charlton game and Exeter game were very similar in ways of like I thought Oxford played really well in the first half against Charlton. Yes, we got 2 goals, but I thought generally we played really well.
Yeah,
Same against Exeter, we just didn't get the goals. And second half we were ropey.
yeah. And you do sort of think like on the commentary for ITV, they were saying this is the first season where we haven't advanced under Robinson, and you think like say, do you come around and say, oh well, he's got credit in the bank, and maybe he might be able to turn things around next season, or do you just think, well, is it going to be more of the same? Are we going to be stuck with more wingers and just more sort of like, oh well, we'll hope jam tomorrow things are going to be better and. I find Carl Robinson immensely irritating, and I think and when we're not winning, he's even more irritating.
We do play some good football under Robinson, and we have done for a number of years. And when it's working well, it's very enjoyable to watch. So you have to weigh up that thing of like, are they going to? They have to be careful about who they bring in, and are they going to bring in somebody like a Danny Cowley who's going to radically change the way Oxford
Yeah,
United play? Um, would you bring in? There's a whole number of like managers that have been decent at clubs that they've had a good run at a club, but you not necessarily they're going to be good if they come into an Oxford United role. So I think the board are very hesitant to be like, and they'd rather stick with a rather the devil you know than the devil you don't kind of
yeah,
situation. And they probably look at the good things that Robinson does above and beyond his managerial duties.
yeah.
And for all the people that are on there that want him out, you have to be realistic and say, do you really think the board are going to do anything until the end of the season? I don't think they will.
No, no. I think unless, I mean, to be honest with you, I think he's safe now until the end. Even if we go on a run where we look like we could be flirting with relegation, they will back him to get the results.
I think that's the thing, though. Why I don't think Oxford will go down.
No,
And I
I
know,
will.
I shouldn't be as confident about that really, but I just think we're capable of turning up and putting in a performance against anyone. Like for every like Ipswich was terrible, but the game before that, we we've we played really well. Sorry, we played really well against Wednesday and should have beaten them.
Yeah. No, I think, and also it's not a great league. There are a lot of teams who are much of a muchness. So it wouldn't take if Oxford win 2 on the spin or 3 on the spin even, suddenly, things are looking a lot rosier. And we could quite easily do that.
We could quite easily do that. I mean, I hope against Fleetwood at the weekend. I hope it's not a situation where we take the lead 1-0, and then in the second half, we feel we can hold on to this 1-0 lead and we can casually sit back and not really attack Fleetwood, and then they'll come and get an equaliser in the second half.
No, if you keep doing that, it's a definition of madness. We've done that so many times this season, and we're thinking it doesn't work for us
No.
effectively. I mean, the
And
only
that's
reason we
again,
went against.
and there's something I think that comes really for me, that comes back to midfield rather than defense. Like yes, there's defense. You can the defenders aren't they make errors as well, right? That they make some
Yeah,
howlers and keepers make some howlers, but generally a lot of the goals we give away come from mistakes in midfield and like players not tracking runners
yeah.
and players like letting people run into the box from midfield and uh, generally that's where Oxford's fault has been, and it's been that fault really ever since Alex Goran's been injured.
Yeah, we don't have that midfielder who's going to be the person who marshals the defence,
Yeah.
who's the more defensively minded one. And Garland wasn't amazing. I mean, he's like you've always said, once you're out the side, you're a better player. But you do sort of feel like we need a Alex Gorin type in that
No,
team.
Yeah, Goran wasn't amazing. Absolutely right. I do think that maybe he's not quite the player he was a couple of seasons ago, where he was a real general in that midfield, a real tough tackling midfielder that would put himself about a bit. And they're trying to make Maguire into that role, and I really think that you take away more from Maguire by asking him to sit deep rather than letting him just go and dictate a game. Just literally
Which we've
go and
not
be
seen him do. We've seen
yeah.
glimpses of it, and you're thinking, because we've suddenly taken a player who could be a very good offensive player for us, and we've made him thinking, actually, could he be the bloke who's been our new Jamie Hansen?
Oh, when I see a player like Anderson get a ball and drive past two players and run up the pitch
Yeah,
and get Oxford up the pitch, that's the sort of player I think Marcus Maguire can be. Like, I
yeah,
really think he's the sort of guy that can just glide past people in midfield and he really should be scoring goals and creating chances on a regular basis rather than just us being happy with the fact he can get the ball in difficult areas and pass out from the back.
agreed.
What's the answer to all of this? Nobody knows. And this was more of a kind of as they usually are, a cathartic
Right.
venting of frustration rather than any concrete what Oxford United should do, because we don't bloody know at the end of the day. We're just
Well, Carl Robertson
unfortunate
doesn't. How do
fans.
we do?
Yeah, well, we're just unfortunate fans that have unfortunately had to endure it for most of our lives. But we will continue to do so because that's our mission, to see Oxford United in League One for 25 more years. And I think that's a good place to leave it, Robert. Have you got anything else you want to sign off with?
No, I think that's it. I think it's been a quite nice little cathartic little scream into the void.
Yes. And I'll be back to do a review of the Fleetwood game. I'm dreading it, if I'm being earnest, but I will do it no matter what. And yeah, thanks for supporting the channel. Hit like, hit subscribe, and all that jazz. And interested to know your comments down below. And yeah, keep on believing, Oxford fans.
Yay.